Ah, I love it. You hear that? It's the sound of freedom. A little bit late, but U.S. military hitting targets in Yemen. Houthi terrorist targets in Yemen. It's about time. This is late. It's probably not enough, but it's something. The Houthis, terrorist group in Yemen, and what do we hit them with? Well, all kinds of things. Tomahawk missiles, a submarine was there, guided missile destroyers, and fighter jets from the Brits. Thank you, UK. And those Houthi targets, basically the western side of Yemen. And that's good. Again, late. Look, I would rally around Joe Biden for a few minutes or two. I don't want to. And even if I did want to, I couldn't. There's like nothing to rally around in a way. Watch this.
My name's Joe Biden. I work for the government.
Shows up at some coffee shop, makes a joke about being in the U.S. Senate, shuffling around. Nothing about, our strategic intentions or, support the troops or what's next or just no leadership. He can't. He doesn't know how to. More jokes about, I don't know, stupid stuff.
Well, look, we're going to get a chance to talk, apparently, after the fire station. So rather than, by the way, anybody want a coffee? It's on me. All right? You take a smoothie? Well, they're $6, but I'll do it anyway.
Someone's got to tell him he's not funny. No more jokes, okay? They only laugh because they're nervous and it seems polite. And then he moved in on some young girl's space. It's amazing the president of the United States doesn't know how to behave. You see the girl, blonde hair, right? Oh, what are you doing there? Doesn't matter if he's the president. Anybody. You got too close to her, Joe. Leave her alone. There was more mumbling about stuff.
Are we in a de facto proxy war later on?
Say again?
Are we in a de facto proxy war?
No. Iran does not want a war with us.
He is really intent on soaking in the moment of that coffee shop. One more.
What's that called? Is it a terrorist group, sir?
I think they are.
What is strike successful last night, sir?
Yes. I don't think there's any civilian casualties. That's another reason why it's a success.
All right. The Biden administration actually officially decertified the Houthis as a terrorist group in 2021. Okay. All right. On to the fire station. The fire station. He's going to set everything straight with the firefighters. What happened?
And the last thing is, one of the things that's going to have an impact is, and I know it doesn't matter to you guys, I'm being facetious, I shouldn't be kidding like that, but when you want to call and check the balance on your account, you get charged $30. Is that fair? Is that fair? These junk fees? You're going to go home for Easter, or you're going to go home for Christmas, you're going to go home for the holidays with your kid. And you find out to get your kid sitting next to you is going to cost another $200. These are junk fees. And guess what? We're getting rid of them.
He's really in touch with how we live, huh? $30 to check your balance. This is what he does, tries to connect, but he can't connect. He gets it all wrong. Stories from long ago combined with stuff he may have heard, and just, it's a mess. It's a mess. Now, again, there's a reason why he doesn't really want to talk about what happened over there. The left, they're incensed. They don't like the military. They don't like taking on the terrorists. Remember, a lot of them are on the side of the terrorists. They're rooting for Hamas and maybe even the Houthis. Who knows? The big message from this administration is we don't want any trouble, right? That is the strategic endgame, which is not a strategic endgame, but we don't want any trouble. That's so lame, isn't it?
We're not looking for conflict with Iran. We're not looking to escalate, and there's no reason for it to escalate beyond what happened over the last few days by the Houthis. They are the ones that have been escalating. We're not looking for conflict with Iran.
I found leaders who are determined to prevent the conflict that we're facing now from spreading, doing everything possible to deter escalation, to prevent a widening of the conflict.
It's like they're shop owners from 100 years ago and they're afraid of the mafia, right? Just whatever it takes, here's our money, just leave us alone, leave us alone. And this is, look, they're getting the direction from the top, Joe Biden. He doesn't want any trouble anywhere because, well, I think he's compromised. But anyway, this is our foreign policy now.
I made it real clear to Xi Jinping that we're going to compete fully with China, but we're not looking for conflict. I made it clear to him again, what I've told him in person on several occasions, that we're not looking for confrontation.
See, if you tell everybody your end game is no conflict, that's not a very powerful position. We've got a big army. Every now and then you got to threaten, hey, don't make us too mad, or we're not that conflict averse. Just my opinion. I could be radically wrong, but I don't think so. Remember when we took out Soleimani? He was one of the top terrorists in the world. He's an Iranian general. And at the moment he walked into Iraq, the airport, we had him tracked, and Donald Trump ordered him dead. And that was good.
Last night, at my direction, the United States military executed a flawless strike that terminated the terrorist ringleader responsible for gravely wounding and murdering thousands and thousands of people and hundreds at least of Americans.
That's the way it's done. That's the way it's done. And of course, when Donald Trump takes out one of the worst terrorists in the world, Democrats say that's irresponsible. How could he do such a thing, literally?
The killing of General Soleimani was a provocation to war that made Americans less safe for years and maybe decades to come.
I do think we're less safe in many respects as a consequence.
I really don't think he fully weighed the consequences of killing Qasem Soleimani before choosing to go out in that direction.
I think we're less safe in the short term and less safe in the long term, because we just gave the leadership an excuse to say no to the Americans.
All right, granted, I don't know who any of those people are, just talking heads on TV. But Joe Biden, then candidate Biden, was openly, I mean, look, we're in an election. I'll give Joe minor credit for taking out some bad guys. Joe couldn't do that in 2020. He was on the, it made the world more dangerous, taking out that terrorist.
Soleimani was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American troops and thousands of innocent lives throughout the region.
Okay, he knows he's a bad guy, Soleimani, okay? He knows that, right? Okay, now?
He was the mastermind, but he was not the whole of the regime or of its capacity to strike back. So the question is, was the reward of removing a bad actor worth the risk of what comes next? We don't have evidence to suggest that Trump or anyone around him thought seriously about that calculus. It's been reported that the Pentagon, which has long warned against taking a shot like this, was shocked that Trump would take such a risk.
The Pentagon, huh? The Pentagon. We are horrified that a terrorist would be removed from the battlefield. What kind of bizarre world is this, right? All right, yeah, keep going here. This is good.
We have not heard a sober-minded explanation to reassure the American people that this decision and its consequences were thought through. No level-headed words meant to dial down the tensions and to take us off the path of conflict.
Okie dokie. We haven't heard from him in a sober way, have we? The shuffling at the coffee shop. One more.
No press conference or consultation with our Congress. No, what we've heard so far from this president are tweets, threats, and tantrums.
You know what? I would take that for that coffee shop routine. Okay, this is the last one.
Make no mistake that this outcome is a strategic setback, heightened threats, chance of death to America, once more echoing across the Middle East. Iran and its allies are vowing revenge that was unavoidable. The seeds of danger were planted by Donald Trump himself. Trump's impulsive decision may well do more to strengthen Iran's position in the region than any of Soleimani's plots would have ever accomplished.
Wow. Again, that's candidate Joe Biden in 2020. So he wants to appear presidential. Then he becomes president and he's not presidential. Side by side, Donald Trump in command, pulling the trigger on a bad guy, and Joe Biden hanging around the bookstore section, the book section of the coffee shop, too close to some girl. You see the difference? It's pretty apparent. And when it comes to national security, Joe Biden, all those promises that he knew the world. We lost Afghanistan. Thanks, Joe. That's on you. We have no border. Thanks, Joe. That's on you. And, we know that terrorists are coming into America. And you know that I never really understood this. I never knew that the Chinese came through the Mexican, the Rio Grande, right? They don't come, but they are now. They are now. And what are they going to do once they're here? Coming in illegally. Gordon Chang has some grave concerns about that. I want to go back to the Houthis for a moment. The Houthis, still getting used to these guys. They've been around for a while, all the way back in the 1980s, 20,000 of them. And they're highly organized, more so than Al-Qaeda, apparently. They got better equipment, better training, and they're getting money from Iran. Very, very tight with Iran. We saw Joe Biden shuffling around, and, the defense secretary, well, more on him in a moment. Remember in 2020 what they said? Once Donald Trump is gone, the professionals will be there. The adults in the room is what they said.
There was sort of okay, the adults are back in the room.
Yeah.
Simply put, the adults are back in the room.
It's to show that the adults are back in the room. The past 4 years under an earlier administration have been, let's say, tumultuous.
Well, Lloyd Austin was not in the room, unless you count the hospital room. The defense secretary was in ICU on some sort of drip, and I guess they gave him an iPad.
We learned last night that President Biden had specifically directed Secretary Austin to oversee these airstrikes that we saw overnight. And we were told that Secretary Austin basically followed everything and monitored all of this in real time from the hospital, where officials say he had sort of the full suite of communications access that he would have needed for all of this.
Yeah, an iPad. Or an iPhone. I don't know. It's just so strange, right? The defense secretary during a major mission like this is in the hospital. Defense secretary is a bit of a weirdo lately, and so is Joe. He was asked about that. Oh, when he's hanging around that girl in the coffee shop, totally not into his duties as commander-in-chief, right? It's like he wants to talk to that girl and he wants to look at the books. But they did ask him a question about his defense secretary.
Do you have confidence in Secretary Austin?
I do.
I'm sorry.
Was it a lapse in judgment for him not to tell you earlier?
Yes.
It doesn't break his stride for what could they possibly have over there that would hold his interest other than getting close to the blonde teenager. Maybe that's it. I'm sorry. Look, all this mixed messaging, shuffling around, wussiness, sorry. You know what it makes you miss and what it makes you look forward to? Something like along these lines.
North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen.
All right. That's how it's done, and that's how it's going to be done again. I will be right back.